Oh, hello, Dana. I didn't see you there.
Tom, it's time for Two Guys Talking Toys.
Hey, what? Again? We just did an episode last week.
I did fly by. When I was setting up, I was like, did we just do this? Like, it
Yeah,
felt like, not that I'm complaining, but
the time flies when you're anticipating a big winter storm.
yeah, which I'm not looking forward to at all. And it's nighttime. We're doing this at night. I'm
It is
tired. I'm
strange.
tired.
It's, I'm tired of this. I've had enough. Is it your last day? Are you like a day away from retirement?
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Getting too
getting
old,
too old for this.
too old for these
I did have
toys.
I did have to work today, so I was rushing home to beat the snow. I did. It
Uh,
hasn't started yet, but then I was like,
hmm,
oh, we gotta record. But it feels like it's weird because I had to work and then you get
yeah.
home and you're like, then the fatigue sets in. You're like, it's
Yep.
time.
You've been going full tilt for multiple hours, and now your body just wants to go to sleep.
True,
I
true.
I didn't do a whole heck of a lot today, and yet I still took a nap because naps are awesome. And kids, we just lost any kiddo viewers who are like, naps are, what is wrong with you? Naps are amazing and they're awesome and they should be in the workplace.
I'm not, yes, but I'm not a big napper. I don't know why. Like there are days where I'm like, man, I wish I could take a nap, and then there are
Yeah.
days where I'm like, I could just take a nap, and I don't. I'm still one of those idiots that will stay up watching a movie on, streaming. Like I could
Hmm.
stop it and start it right there the next day, and
Hmm.
I'll still like, oh, it's 9 o'clock. I can't go to bed yet. Like,
Oh yeah.
why
Yeah.
not? Just go to bed. Like I'm still
No,
like that 10-year-old. Like I'm not going to bed now. I'm not.
that's when the Komodo dragon fights the tiger. You can't go to bed yet because you'll miss it. One day you're gonna see
But
it. You'll be up long enough and you'll see it happen. But until
oh,
then, there's that hope.
it was up until like this year, this season. I'd stay up and watch football Monday nights, Sunday
Mhm.
nights, and it would go late.
Yeah.
It didn't start until 20 after 8. So 11 o'clock would roll around, and I'm like fighting to stay awake to see the end of the game of two teams I don't even cheer for. And then and this
My,
year I was like, at halftime, going to bed. I don't care.
I used to experience. I do this with horror movies because I want to support the franchise. So anytime that there's something out,
Because they're watching you. He didn't even
yeah,
watch the whole thing, jerk.
you jerk. We go and watch horror movies when they're out in theaters, and if I find something new, I'm like, oh, let me give this a watch and see if I can find it. But there's so much bad horror. I mean, like anything, but there's so much bad
But
horror out
the good thing about horror,
there.
like a bad horror movie, is good as a bad horror movie. Like a bad drama or a bad rom-com is just horrible. But a bad horror movie, you're like, all right, I've seen better.
Oh, see, I get angry when there's a bad part, and it's only because my level of anger is determined by how much potential that movie has. If it's a really
Right.
good premise and it's done horribly, I'm furious. But at the same time, if it's just an okay premise and it's like some of the films you see on Amazon or Tubi, where it's someone with a video camera and them and their friends are making some thing with fake blood and whatever, I fall asleep. So most of my naps happen in the middle of a bad bad
Fair
movie,
enough. Fair
and
enough.
but then I haven't seen it. So if I forget, and then later on I'm like, oh, did I watch this? Sort of. I have a ton of the question mark keep watching on the
Hmm.
Tubi and Amazon. I'm like,
Right.
did I fall asleep or did I turn off in disgust?
Right. I have fallen asleep in a movie theater.
That only happened to me during, oh, was it the possession of Emily Rose?
That'll do it. But no, it wasn't that one. It was Romeo and Juliet.
I could see you falling asleep. So we've lost all the fans of Romeo and Juliet. Uh,
Yeah.
go away. You're not welcome here.
Right. But our fans, all 10 or 12 of them, would really like to see what you got this week.
They would, because here on Two Guys Talking Toys, this is what we discuss. So this week, oh, I'm ill prepared. Oh, okay. So I'm still catching
This is
up.
why this time we're bad at this. This is
We may not get better. The camera quality may improve, but this is you people are getting what you're paying for. That is to say, not keep your expectations reasonable. Uh, the the Ninja Turtles He-Man crossover line is something that I will probably never stop talking about. because it's amazing and I love it and I want it to keep going. And I've done
I
fan
feel like
art
it is
and the full.
replace sectars in your
It's getting there. It is getting there because they've got the Cronenberg factor, and that
right.
allows me to say that as many times as I can possibly cram into an episode. But I'm starting to. I keep fighting the urge, but I cannot help doubling up on things because this line is limited, and
It
even
is
though
a
it lasted
sickness.
for about a year and a half, it's going to go away. And when that happens, you're like, I'm going to enjoy the Thundercats He-Man crossover. I really love what's being shown, but these are going to go away, and I seriously doubt that Mattel will ever go back to it. So we've got to enjoy it as much as possible while it's around. But one of the things that was hard to enjoy about this line, because Walmart sucks, is their
Wow.
exclusives, and one of them being Merman. And I know that you and I have talked about it. It's a constant thing on the board. People are always on like message boards and Facebook groups or whatever. People are always looking for him. He's gotten ridiculous on the aftermarket on eBay. There's random strings of hope that maybe a place called Books a Million, who has had pre-orders up for months.
I love Books a Million.
They're great, except that they're not going to get Merman, but they have a pre-order up that everyone has ordered from in hopes that maybe, just maybe, Mattel will turn the machines back on and send them Merman. And I hope that they do. And anyone that pre-ordered them, I hope you get a Merman, but you're not. So, but
Tom is
all that,
a glass is half empty kind of guy.
it's half empty because some jerk knocked it over. Um,
Wow.
I was able to recover some like right before it all spilled out, but I
The
was down
bounty.
afterwards. But I constantly keep an eye out for just random things that I enjoy, and this line being one of them. And during one of my late night 4 a.m. eBay excursions, I stumbled across a listing for this guy.
Nice. Oh wow, he is very cool.
He is awesome. He's a great figure. But like the tail's fully articulated. It's
Wow, I forgot what he looked like. The fact
yeah,
that he's translucent and has the mermaid
yup.
tail. I completely forgot that.
Comes with some legs. You want to get some leg action going for your merman. It's
Suddenly there's a ZZ Top song playing in the background.
curse you ZZ Top for getting us demonetized despite us not being monetized. But yeah, he's amazing. Now when these were still fairly new, like when the release date was pretty new on this, and he was just considered hard to find and scarce because there were people who lived in like Texas and California where, like, I feel like Walmart takes a shipping container and they hire the spotted Hulk, and he picks up the container and he just chucks it. Like he opens it up and he just chucks it, and they all land as far as he can
Exactly
throw
what
them.
happens. I've seen it.
And that's from like California, and it probably doesn't reach all that far past the Midwestern states. And that's your distribution for Walmart. It's just someone chucking them as far as they'll go. They never hit the East Coast. And apparently that was the case for, as far as I know. Anyone correct me if I'm wrong. I know that our store visiting is anecdotal because we only see what we see within our radius, but I never saw one of these on a shelf, and
Oh,
neither did a lot of other people. I know that in some areas they were like, "Oh, they're just I'm just awash in in mermen," and good for them. But then those dried up, and you couldn't find them. So on the secondary market, the creep up started immediately. An extra like third of the price, and then they were twice the price, and then they were 200 300 times the going price. And I bought one because I couldn't help myself, and I was like,
I think that's my favorite merman of all of them.
I need to have the security of knowing that I actually have one in hand, and then if I see more, then I'll get more because
Of
he's
course.
definitely worth troop building. And that never happened. He never got full distribution. They're not. It'd be great if they did a second run. I don't think they're going to. And because it's a Walmart specific exclusive, I learned the difference between like first I forgot what the term for it is. They get to sell it first. It's like a seller's first exclusive.
Right.
It's just a full-on store exclusive. And that's how Big Bad Toy Store has been able to get some things that I thought were full-on Walmart exclusives. But I guess they were just like, we sell it before.
Yeah, they have first look.
Yeah. But they're exclusives that are exclusive to them. They don't bother distributing. So No
Today's
one's
episode is brought by the word exclusive.
take a drink every time you hear the word exclusive. A lot of before we're done today. But I got one, so I technically have one in the box because I got them and then I set them aside. But this one popped up, and lucky me, not very expensive, above retail, not by all that much.
Hey, that's good.
Like, yeah, it's like if this listing is fake, eBay favors the buyer, so there's not really all that much risk. And if he's real, then I'll have him in my hands and showing him off on Talking Toys. So
eBay favors the bold.
I hope that everyone is able to get their hands on Merman because he's freaking awesome, and I am very, very impressed. So on top of that, because I guess this is just going to be an ongoing thing, whether I want it to be or not. I got the package, was not able to get around to opening it this week, so I'm opening it now. And I've been, kind of counting the days till the Thundercats He-Man crossover starts, because I am very excited about that, but I'm also really, really, really looking forward to what's going to be in this box here. I actually know what this is. And that is
Sounds like a lot of stuffing.
It's full of the best giblets. So I got a box. I purchased a box
in a box.
Nice. I think that's.
I saw the word toys on it, which means it's a case of something, right?
Yes, we're on brand. We're on brand for the podcast. This is in fact relevant to what we're going to be discussing.
Yeah, I've got a toaster oven.
Enjoy Two Guys Talking Toasters, everybody.
I need a toaster.
We just acquired a whole cluster of like bored housewives looking. All right, so Entertainment Earth got the last wave. It makes me sad to even say that. What I believe is the last wave of the Ninja Turtles He-Man crossover figures. So I absolutely put it in order because I was super duper excited for getting the rest of the Ninja Turtles. There's Clamp Champ, there's Leonardo, Michelangelo.
I forgot they were doing Clamp Champ.
But this is the breakout star. The Ninja.
Oh yes, that is so good looking.
Star this wave. I didn't realize that his arms and his legs are translucent.
Oh wow.
It's super cool. You know what? And looking at it now, but you can see it in person, but looking at the reflective in the video scales, I love the scaling on the package. That's cool. But yeah, this is phenomenal. I've already his wings look amazing. I guess he does have a neck. Because I was like, why is he so squat in the package? He has a little neck extension, so you can make him also strike. And this is such a cool look. And this is almost vindication for me, because I don't remember if I've mentioned this before or not, but when Eric and I were working together, he had put together a He-Man kind of fan podcast, and it was an audio drama, and it was based on Powers of Preternia, and he had original characters and he had new characters, and I was doing the artwork for it, and one of the characters that he brought in was Ninjor, and he had written some of the stuff that he was writing for. He was the narrator, so he would describe whatever was going on, and then characters would interact. And in one of his descriptions,
humble narrator.
Yeah, he was very good at it. Like if I wrote books, he is who I would want narrating, because his voice is awesome. So Eric was writing an audio drama based on Powers of Preternia, and he had all these different characters in it, and he had Ninjor. And when I was doing artwork for it, the description that he had was Ninjor was doing something, and there was his eyes flickered, and he mentioned something about like the dragon within stirred or something along those lines. He was just being descriptive, and sometimes I don't catch on to that. And so I read that, and I was like, oh, he's a dragon. He's a dragon in there. Oh, that's such a great idea. So all of my artwork for him, it depicts the classic Ninjor, and I added just enough detailing to the eye sockets to make it look like they were starting to scale, and he was in mid transformation. And then I took it further, where full body pictures of him had the ninja outfit, but from like the elbows down, like his forearms were full on dragon claws. And Eric's like, I didn't think about that, but that's pretty neat. And I was like,
Yeah, that's cool.
think about that. That's what you said. It's like, no, that was just saying. But now our visions have combined, whether on purpose or on accident, because
Mhm.
there's a ninja, a dragon ninja, and I love this. Also, potential fodder to turn into a Hothead, because
Yeah,
I feel like Hothead should have been in this line as like a mega figure, and that would have been really cool.
I always like Ninjor because it sounds like how someone from like Brooklyn would say ninja.
Over here, Ninja.
I came out of the freaking pizza parlor. There's two ninjas fighting in the street.
So this is what I got. What have you gotten?
I picked up begrudgingly,
Oh
only
no, this
because
is like a good
no,
pick.
I'm glad I got it. But
Like
it's another one of those tales like the classified series where now they're doing the retro ones. And you're like, why didn't you just do that to start with? Right. So I saw that the new Trapjaw was coming out and that new Merman, and they're fantastic.
yeah,
But when I knew they were coming out, I was like, well, I don't need another Merman and I don't need another
yep.
Trapjaw. I have them. But then I saw Trapjaw, and of
Oh,
course,
I've never seen him in person.
he's fantastic. And I picked him
Oh,
up.
that does look really good. That
It's so good. And it's again, I'm like, why didn't you just
is,
give me this to start with?
yeah. Is the helmet metallic?
Um, yeah, it's well, it's got it's his jaw's kind of matte finished and the
Okay,
helmet is shiny, but
okay.
I wouldn't call it metallic, but um
Oh, that's
just
really good.
so well done. And this like shoulder joint looks so like it just looks more
It's a really good.
body horror
Yeah,
esque. Like
yeah.
it's horrific looking. Like you can see like his body's been through some stuff, you know.
I
Just so
I
well
feel like
done.
this is the look that McFarlane goes for in like the early '90s when he was doing like the tortured souls and he had all the mechanical,
Yeah, this
like
is
we're
what he
like
was
over.
going for. Only this doesn't suck.
Yeah, and that was part of the reason why like I never picked up a lot of those because they were like overly rendered, too much
Mhm.
greeble, and I was like it's just busy. That is,
Yeah,
despite
and
it like you said, it looks really good like body horror, but it's also there's a level of cleanness to it that
yeah,
works. It looks really good.
yeah, and the fact that he's more slender,
Yeah,
makes it even like it looks like his body at one time wasn't doing well.
yeah.
It's
The healing
just
process didn't go all that well for him.
yeah, so well done. I love this figure. And of course, I'm like, I don't need another trap sword, but let me take a look at it. Yeah, I need this
Yeah,
trap jaw.
I wonder if they're ever going to do because we got him in that Skeletor 2 pack. I wonder if they'll ever do just a full on Cronin or Crowan or however his name is pronounced, like the pre Trap Jaw version of him, because there's that
Yeah.
Origins version in the 2 pack that wound up swamping targets, but we haven't seen it in Masterverse. So I wonder if they'll ever do that.
No, I don't know. And I don't know if it's on purpose or not. I'm trying to fix it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like his torso and his chest like don't line up. And it's
Oh, okay.
weird. Like
Huh.
his abs
Oh, it's like slightly crooked. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think that
That's
makes
on.
it that distortion look
Mhm.
even more. And I'm trying to and it won't fix. So I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a boo boo or if that's a but it just adds to that kind of body horror look.
People may disagree with me, but I highly recommend, and I don't know if you've had a chance to watch it yet. I highly recommend watching the Netflix He-Man series. The not the Revolution animated ones. There was a
Right.
CG show based on Masters Universe, and it's amazing. And they treat Skeletor's villains or his henchmen. They do this kind of cool thing where Trapjaw starts off as Cronin, who's like a warmonger and he's an arms dealer, and he has this feud with the character who will later become Man at Arms. But when he gets the way that they look and their names like Trapjaw for him, like he's Cronin, so his Trapjaw persona is unlocked as a superpower. Like he powers up and
Huh.
becomes Trapjaw. I apologize if that's a spoiler, but it's such a cool idea for the show. And it takes these, you know, you see Trapjaw and you're like, well, yeah, that's just Trapjaw. And they were like, but what if that was his final, more powerful form, and his original starting point is still dangerous, but a little less so.
Hmm.
I recommend it, and I want that in Masterverse as well. But I don't know if
I
I'll.
don't like it.
I give it a shot. Dag nabbit, you'll love it. You may not love it. We'll just have to agree to disagree. I'll have to challenge you to a duel using my weapon of choice, which brings
Okay.
us to the topic that I want to get back to. I want to get back to weapons because we talked about a lot of different types of weapons last time, and we just didn't cover everything.
Right.
We didn't get to. There's so many, and not just look out, that guy's got a gun, but iconic weapons that everyone can look at and know. Things like Merman's corncob sword that everyone knows.
Yeah.
When,
Yeah.
when you say that, everyone knows exactly. If you're into toys, you know exactly what that is. You saw it. If you had it as a kid, that's exactly what you thought it was. Nobody thought that was a sword.
I guess it's
Thought it was
coral seashell. What is it?
there's been I like that they've tried to update it, be like, no, it's a dangerous weapon. Like
Right. The one with the 2000X had the like spikes coming off of it,
yes.
didn't
And you're like, oh, spicy corn. All right.
it?
Not bad. And he just gets so upset. He's so angry. He's like, I'm the king of an underwater a
No,
king.
it'd be like,
Why won't you respect me? Because you fight with a corn cob, man.
yeah, I remember when I was a kid, and when that's the first thing obviously you think of. He's having some corn on the cob. Um, you're like, what is this, a cookout? Uh,
you like how humiliating is that?
and it didn't even look sharp. It looked
Oh, look,
blunt.
like he boiled that thing before he came to fight. You're like, why, merman? I don't. What's your mindset? Did he
Right.
find
And
that?
it was that weird yellow color too. You're like, is he fighting with macaroni art? What is happening here?
What does it sound like when it connects with another sword? Like I don't understand what he's doing here. But I loved it. I loved that thing. It
You know,
was
the power up is
so
he
weird.
presses a button and then it heats up and it pops like
Popcorn sword.
yeah, right in your eyes. Like if he has to get away, instead of like Batman smoke, he's like pop, 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 and he runs the other way.
Again, everyone hopes he does it because it's all buttery and salted. Because he comes out of the. I assume he lives in salt water and not fresh water. So it's
Right.
already pre-salted, possibly buttered before he gets out there, just to be sure. And they're like, look, we gotta find Merman and scare him. You mean stop him? No, we gotta scare him so that he runs away. And he uses a popcorn thing, so it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly what that sword was for. It
The
was more
unlikely
defensive.
hero. He's an
Mhm.
unlikely hero of Eternia.
But you're right. Yeah, everybody once you see that sword, you know it's and if they made a merman who didn't come with that sword, like the
Yes.
2000X, like it kind of had the texture, but it was metallic in color, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
because I think he also had a trident. And they were like, let's look, he's from the sea. They probably
Yeah,
use tridents, and everyone just threw that away.
yeah,
You want the corncob sword because it's the
yeah.
best.
And if he didn't come with that, you'd be like, no, this is not merman.
Yep, no, I don't want this. Speaking of He-Man based weapons, would you consider something that like maybe you didn't even hold, something that was just innate to you as a weapon? And I ask that because I'm talking about Stinkor, Master of the Stench. Because if all our Stinkors stunk, and they didn't realize that mixing patchouli oil into the plastic would make it last forever. All
Yeah,
your Stinkors stink. Even the classics version of Stinkor, I have in its own bin. I can't mix him in with my other classics.
the funny thing is when I went to college
Mhm.
in the mid 90s, um, and everybody, that was that nouveau hippie stage,
Mhm.
and everybody was wearing patchouli oil. And of
On
course,
purpose? Why?
yeah, it was
I,
huge. It was huge. Everybody was wearing it. The whole world
uh,
smelled like clove cigarettes and patchouli.
I encountered
And
some Arians, but I never never encountered
yeah,
people slathered in patchouli oil.
when I walked into a room, I was like, "Why does it smell like stinkor in
Yeah,
here?"
they're like, "What did you call me? Stinkor." That's what I called
Stinkor.
you. That's hilarious. Gross.
Yeah,
But also that doesn't belong on people. It belongs on skunk creatures who used to look like
Yeah.
Gizmo who lived on Eternia. Who I also want. I want whether I don't care if it's Origins or if it's in Masterverse at some point. I want the 2000X representation of Stinkor before he became Stinkor. Remember in the cartoon when he was that cute little like Gizmo looking creature?
Yeah.
We've never gotten a toy, not even in the official line.
You should
I
repaint a Gizmo
I
or
want
a plunderling.
Oh, a plunderling would be perfect. That is a great idea, and I may do that. Figure out if I can maybe
No,
fly.
I don't think Stinkor Stink is an iconic weapon. It's an iconic. I don't know. It's fun.
I mean, I guess as far as like show versus you having it in hand, it's kind of I don't know. I think it's a weapon. It sticks with you. It's gross, but I love it.
All right.
I love that when the Origins version came out, everyone immediately like the first people that got their hands on it, and they were like, "Look, I found Stinkor." Everyone's like, "Smell it. Does it stink? Does it smell like chili oil?" The answer is no. Anyone who doesn't have Origin Stinkor, they decided to not do that. It would have been funny if he came with little like smell lines, like as an effect part you could clip onto them, just little
like Pigpen from the
yes. Yep. That would have been great for Stinkor.
Squiggly stink lines. That's funny.
Like, don't get too close.
See, now then it would have been an iconic toy weapon. But you talk about Merman, it would come with a variety of weapons, and then so they decided to give him the trident and perhaps go away with the Jiffy Pop sword. But Wonder Woman has had a variety of weapons.
Yes.
And throughout her illustrious publication. But, immediately we have to talk about the magic lasso of truth.
Yes. Because of all the things
that used it as a weapon, but it's also, it's like a Swiss Army rope.
Yeah, I mean, she's used it, to like subdue people, to tie up dragons and make that.
She's used it as a whip.
Yeah. Yeah, you're 100% right. Because if you have a Wonder Woman figure, it better have a lasso. Because it has a variety of other weapons that she uses, and I do kind of like that they've more incorporated the shield and her sword. But she doesn't have an iconic sword per se. Like
the shield with the eagle on it has a variety of incarnations, but it's always with the eagle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the lasso, like that's your tried and true. If I have a Wonder Woman figure, she needs to have a lasso, just like Catwoman needs to have a whip. That's
Catwoman's whip is just as iconic as Indiana Jones. Now the lasso, sometimes it's used in such a great way, and other times it's just pure idiocy. Like for instance, lassoing lightning or whatever that was in the 1984 movies, playing Spider-Man in the clouds. That was terrible.
I love that you hate that, because that's one of the few parts of the movie that I actually liked.
After the initial, like, when she's doing the bullet thing, after that, the whole movie's horrible.
It does not earn what we saw her doing, and that made me sad. Like, I wanted to be jazzed. Like, that should have been one of the highlights of the film. Like, yes, she's gonna go kick butt. Look at her, she's just grabbing. Like, that's one of those moments where the crowd should be so swept up in what's happening. Reality means nothing. Like you're fully, all your disbelief has been completely fully suspended. But they didn't pull it off, and 97.5% of that movie is utter trash, and it makes me sad.
And the growth of that character, even in the Snyderverse, like we saw the first Wonder Woman, fantastic. So Wonder Woman was the highlight of the Dawn of Justice film when she comes in to fight Doomsday and actually loves fight. Like when she hits the car and then comes off like finally a fight, and she goes at him, I'm like, that's Wonder Woman. And then they make the second one, and they're like, let's see if Wonder Woman can be more motherly and not fight, right?
I would have been fine with that if they just pulled it off properly, because she is like nurturing. But like the writings, there's no overcoming just garbage writing at the whole. Well, we could do a whole two guys talking Wonder Woman. it's just how disappointing.
Yeah. So back to the lasso. Like sometimes it's just a magic rope that compels you to tell the
Mhm,
truth, and she's, good with it, like lassoing and, like you said, subduing people. But then there are other times where it's suggested or even stated that
mhm.
she can control the rope.
Yes.
And there are manners where she would have it moving and doing stuff
Mhm.
telepathically. I don't know how I feel about that. How did you
It
like that development?
it adds it adds a little too much to it. I mean,
I agree.
I guess it's one of those things where I guess if you need it for story plot, but that aspect of it turns into Superman cellophane s. You're like,
Right.
what? Why? Like, that's interesting, sure, but why is it there? Why do we need it in the end? What does it accomplish aside from one specific thing for this one specific moment, and then we
Right.
never speak of it again? Like, it's just
Here's what I would do if I was Superman with this cellophane flypaper Superman, because I'm already fast.
uh
Like I could travel faster than the human eye can see, right? So here's what I would throw the S in the air,
mhm.
and whoever would be like, "What the heck?" And then by the time they register, you've already hit them.
Just a distraction. That's his version of the smoke bomb of the
Right,
popcorn
his
sword
popcorn sword. Yeah,
because
you
it's
know
doing
what?
something weird. They'd never see it coming.
I do like Wonder Woman's magic rope as a magic rope and not
Yes.
something because for a while they tried to say Superman had telepathic abilities and this and that. Like it's just like how many more powers are you going to give these people, right?
Was it
But
Silver Age Superman? Because if then yes, he could just do whatever he wanted.
right, yeah,
There's no beating Silver Age Superman.
right,
He's got an infinite well of powers that he just may never have mentioned because it's the Silver Age.
right. And then also the gauntlets.
Yes.
I do like the gauntlets. I love when some big baddie, right, sees Wonder Woman and
Mhm.
for some reason doesn't know who she is and just thinks I'm gonna squish this little lady who's running her
Mhm.
mouth and swings a sword or goes to give her and she just does this number. Like there's always that picture, like her like
Mhm.
and the big, drawing and then
Yeah.
the bad guy's like, oh, and then
What
she'll
do you
do
think?
the clap, which is like the Hulk clap, but with the
Oh,
gauntlets.
right.
I
I forgot
like
he used
that.
to do that. Yes. I mean, and they're it's a cool part of her design, and I like that is pushed a little bit further. So now, like, they have function. It's not
Yeah,
this is just what I decided to assemble. The gauntlets are actually used for something.
right.
Um, Speaking of gauntlets, you know what I was never really that familiar with, but I find it interesting. Darkseid's what's it called? The Killing Glove. He has a gauntlet. He has like
Yeah.
a full on. But I don't remember exactly what it's called. It's just a
Yeah,
full.
and it was clearly written because of Thanos and the Infinity
Did
Gauntlet, but
did
yeah.
that show up before or after the Infinity Gauntlet? I
I
never knew because
am not sure. I always thought it was like because Thanos was off Dark Side, and I think they just kind of went back and forth with
yeah,
ideas. I don't remember who was. Yeah,
I like the look of it, but I have no clue how it works. I don't know how Darkseid utilizes it. I was like,
right.
does it just allow him to crush people harder? Like I don't
I
know.
know. It's
I,
like when you get to like Superman Dark Side level, they're like, really, really, really.
you need more armaments. I don't. I'm not
Like
sure.
when the Hulk comes at you with a giant battle axe on Planet Hulk, you're like, really?
Really, we're just doing this, huh?
Like you can hit me with your fist and turn me into a puddle of mush, or you can just chop me in half. Like,
Speaking of the Hulk, I did like his the sword that they designed for him during.
yeah, that was cool.
I really like the look of that, and when future artists have drawn it, it usually looks pretty much the same. And I don't know what it is about it. Like it's just a really interesting design that I you don't. I mean, he's not Planet Hulk very often, but I've always enjoyed that when he is him. It's almost like He-Man, where just that sword just comes out of just seems to appear.
Yeah, and they keep the same design.
Mhm,
Speaking of people who don't actually need a weapon, but originally he did though. Even though
mhm,
the MCU has destroyed my fondness for Thor, we can't talk about iconic weapons and
mhm.
not talk about Mjolnir.
Yes, 100%. That is I. It's. I didn't fully understand. I remember when like I was first introduced to Thor, like Thor the Marvel character,
Right.
and the stuff that he would do or not do, and I never fully understood exactly like what was going on with it, because initially that was the whole Donald Blake. He taps a stick, then he becomes Thor,
Right.
and
And he'd
then
have to spin the hammer and fly.
yeah,
Like the hammer was actually
yeah.
flying.
I was never sure whether or not Thor could fly or if he was like the Hulk but needed. And then it was like, yeah, he would do this spin and then he would just go up and away. And I was like, wait, so can he fly? Apparently he can. I guess like
Yeah, he can now.
the current power set is that he can fly, just like I guess being yanked around by Mjolnir. But
Right.
sure,
Sure.
why
Plus
not?
it's very theatric with the
Yeah,
like
I,
skipping a rock. Um, I remember when I got my first Thor figure was the Toy Biz one where he still had the cool like tiger stripe boots.
oh yeah,
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 and I wanted him so bad because I wanted the hammer. And then he had
mm-hmm.
this little like looked like a rubber mallet that I would use to put tent stakes. And like he had this tiny little hammer. But Thor was bigger than the other figures. He was a little bit
Yeah.
bigger. Like getting Thor was, I was like, no way, they made Thor. And I loved it. And I went and got that figure. And then since then, there's been some really good Thor figures.
Mm-hmm.
I've really enjoyed them. But the Diamond Select Ultimates
Mm-hmm.
Thor figure when he had like the kind of Karen bob cut thingy going on, but
It
that
went full hippie.
hammer, yeah, that hammer, I love that.
I do like the Ultimates design because it's such a departure from what we're used to seeing. Like Mjolnir has a very specific look to it, and
Yeah,
the first time I saw the hammer for Ultimate Store, I was like, "Is that a bell?" Because it's a curvy shape and it comes in the end.
right.
It's like, wait,
It's almost like an axe, but
yeah,
then it's got like almost like an anvil. It's
yeah.
like he's got an anvil on a stick,
Mm-hmm. It is a really cool look, and I
which would be cooler than Road Pig's cinder block on a stick.
it's just wielding an anvil. Because
In my world, that is an iconic weapon. The cinder block on a mallet, that's iconic.
it was such a different thing. And again, like I was not super familiar with Joe's, but I remember that being. I was like, wait, is that his weapon? Holy cow, that's
Yeah.
terrifying. Did he rip it out of the ground? Did he custom make it?
And you can't like just drill a hole in a cinder block. I don't even know how it was attached, but
It had to be poured.
I remember picking up that figure like, oh, a new Dreadnought. He has a cinder block on a stick. It looked like a baseball bat with a cinder block on it. Cinder block weighs like 40 pounds. That's bad. That's a bad weapon.
Was he re-released in what was it, the was it Retaliation that had a whole new toy line where they tried to kind of like upgrade the bodies and whatnot?
Yeah, no, he wasn't part of that, I don't believe.
Because that was part of like everything had to be a gritty reboot of everything. And I'm sure that if Road Pig had been part of that line, the cinder block, you would have gotten
It had spikes on it.
It would have had spikes and or blood spatter.
Right, yeah.
Possibly a brain attached to it. Because everything
they did re-release Road Pig when they did the Ninja lines and everything was neon. And so they did a neon green and orange. It was horrible.
As soon as we got Road Pig in classifieds, my immediate thought was, when is that Target exclusive neon Road Pig going to be happening? It has to.
No, it does not. It does not have to. Back to Mjolnir. I liked Stormbreaker too.
Stormbreaker is also a really cool looking hammer because it also has that similar kind of bell look to it. Beta Ray and yeah, it helps that it comes with one of the most amazing characters in Marvel, Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill, yes.
Who I would love to see in his own standalone film. Give me that.
I love Beta Ray Bill.
Pair him with Lockjaw.
I remember the first time I got a toy of him was that bigger, like I think it was the Hero Reborn line, but he was bigger. It was when they did the 6-inch. No, he was with the Silver Surfer line.
Oh, that's right, the Silver Surfer line.
And I wasn't really familiar with him. Like I had seen him, and I bought the figure because it was awesome. It had that big billowing cape.
Yeah.
And then I went and did research and bought some comics with him in it, and I fell in love with that character. I love him.
You know what I love the most about Beta Ray Bill, just like the concept of him, he came from that time before everyone was worthy. Yeah, like
right.
Like no one could lift Mjolnir because you couldn't, like Odin, because he made it. But that was it. And Beta Ray Bill being of pure mind and heart and resolve, like he earned it. Like I love the comic
Yeah.
when he first appears and he fights Thor to a standstill.
He fights
And
Thor. Yeah. And
I,
Thor's like, you're pretty good. Here's the hammer.
but I love the way that they introduce him being worthy, like during their fight. And Beta Ray's not, he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know what he has. Doesn't know what Mjolnir is. And he knocks him down. He's just like, I need a weapon to hit this guy with. And he just picks up Mjolnir and Thor's like, oh, whoa, what is happening? And I love that. That was the
time out.
Yeah, like he had never seen anyone do it before. Beta Ray Bill didn't care, and his resolve was what pushed him. I love that. The last thing that I saw with Beta Ray Bill was that he was running around with why am I drawing a blank? Who causes Ragnarok and destroys Asgard? It's not Pyre. It's something else. It's killing me. I'm gonna remember it when we go off the air, and I'm gonna be kicking myself. Surtur.
Yes.
I forgot, sir. I apologize. He has Surtur's weapon. He went on this whole quest because he fought with Thor, and Thor destroyed Stormbreaker, and he was like, I'm not whole. Also, he couldn't power down, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Which I guess kind of like maybe harkens into the
I'm always like, why would you want to?
Like, you think he'd want to be able to? Well, he wanted to so that he could make nice with Sif.
Oh, well,
who was already to make nice, and she was like, so how does this work? You power it down, right? And he's like, I'll be right back.
I would be like, that's the least of your worries, sister.
But yeah, Mjolnir is a great weapon. I also like, even though they're kind of silly, I like the weapons from the Wrecking Crew.
Yes, it was kind of goofy, but they were fun.
Thunderball, like the enhanced helmet on I forgot their. I'm terrible today. What's going on?
Because it's nighttime. It's late.
Nighttime. We're winding down. we're gonna take naps in the middle of the show. and we'll be back. I'll put up one of those. We'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Those were great. I love them. Yeah. And then Schoolhouse Rock would come on.
Yeah, and then the hanker for a hunk of cheese. It's a wagon wheel. While you get through your senior moment there, I'm going to talk about Harley Quinn and her hammer, like Harley Quinn's hammer.
Oh, that is
pretty iconic now.
It's very, very iconic. You know, I wonder if is this an ongoing thing amongst, I guess, like female characters to have a giant hammer? Harley Quinn has one, and that's kind of her go-to. There's a character named Amy from the Sonic franchise who's like, that's her whole thing, is that she hits people with hammers. Has that been going on for very long, or is that?
I don't know. Harley's the first one I remember because then they gave her that cool like fighting style with it, where she would flip it around her shoulders because she's small with this giant hammer, so she had to have a way to build momentum and I like how they developed. Now they've gone too far, like everyone loved Harley Quinn, so now they had to make her a good guy.
Part of that family,
right? Yeah. I wish they would just leave bad people fall in love with a bad guy, leave them being a bad guy.
You got to turn them face. It's all wrestling.
You're exactly right. It's all wrestling. But then they gave her the baseball bat in the movie and some of the the Arkham games and stuff like that, which was okay. But I prefer the hammer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's harder for her to get around Gotham City dragging a giant hammer around. I know that. But
it still looks cool. It makes for some cool visuals. And once you get into like the more anime style depictions of it, it is a really cool just still pieces of her wielding this monstrous weapon that she should not be able to wield. But I'm on board. You know who else has a weapon that I really love? Mega Man. I like that he has the arm blaster. That's unique. Well, it's not the first time that has ever appeared, but he kind of made that it was unique to him.
But you know which one is his. I've even seen the replica that you put on your forearm and hold. I almost bought it once for no reason. I'm not a Mega Man fan, but I just thought it was cool.
They're just fun. They're really cool. And I mean, a bunch of like the Robot Masters have a kind of a similar setup, but his, I remember the first time playing, Mega Man 2, wondering how the mechanics of it works. That was the first Mega Man game that I played. It was just a cool thing because when you're running, he's just got his hands, and then when he would stop to shoot, it would just be the blaster. And I was like, I wonder how did the mechanics of that work? Not that like I was opposed to it working that way. It was just interesting.
Right.
But that's one of those things, right? If you see that on a table of weapons, you know exactly whose it is.
Yeah. There are a bunch of weapons that you could recognize. Like everybody knows Boba Fett's gun. As soon as you see that, you know that's
You know
his
what?
gun.
I do not.
Everybody but you, Tom, knows Boba Fett's gun when they
Everyone would
see
just
it.
see it and start running, and I was like, "Where are you going? Why? Why are we scared? I don't understand what's going on."
Okay, here's a softball. Everybody knows the Batarang, right?
Yes, 100%. Everyone's got a batarang stuck in their hand if you're trying to do some petty crime.
Right.
I like that Batman just leaves those all around the city. Like
Yeah, they're all over the place.
he doesn't take
Little
them
kids
back.
are playing with them.
Yeah, just uses them to turn on the remote, like to turn on the TV. And Alfred's like, "We have a remote, sir." Yeah, but this is more fun.
First charge.
Yeah, those are very much. And again, like if you get a Batman figure that comes with no batarangs, you're probably taking it back because where is batarangs? He needs those. Just like Mr. Freeze's ice gun. You need some kind of
gun. Now his has different looks. It doesn't have one iconic look. But yeah, if you get Mr. Freeze figure and it doesn't have some sort of ice gun, why are you even going to buy it?
Why are we bothering? Also, I just like to bring up again that we were robbed by not getting a polar bear Mr. Freeze from that Ninja Turtles crossover.
Oh man.
How amazing would that have been? It was great. And I love that their disbelief of seeing a giant polar bear with a gun.
Love when he and Michelangelo are going back and forth with the corny one-liners in the movie version.
It's so well done. If you haven't watched Batman versus Ninja Turtles, do yourself a favor and go out and watch it and enjoy it. You will love it. And then hunt down the toys because the toys are phenomenal.
They are indeed. So any other weapons you feel like we need to talk about?
Spider-Man's web blasts.
Yes, that don't hang around for the city forever like batarangs. They dissolve after an hour.
Yeah, he's very eco-friendly. He understands that these need to dissolve and go away after an hour, and that's all you need. To get there in time, then that's their problem.
I love when he pulls some schmo jewelry store heist guy off his moped while he's sitting on the subway post, and he hangs him off the light post or the bottom of this, the L train, and leaves a note from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, hoping the cops find him. What if it takes more than an hour? The webs are going to dissolve, and that poor schmo is going to go crashing down to the concrete in the middle of traffic.
How in the world have we not gotten a Marvel short about this? Whether it just be like just a quick, maybe like 5 or 10 minute short, and it starts with Spider-Man webbing him up. Spider-Man swings away, and then it's just this guy who's like, "Okay, what do I know about Spider-Man? Oh, the cops are coming. Wait, it's like 4 a.m. There's no cops in this area. I chose to hit this place because I know there are no cops in the area. I'm strung up, like you said, from a light post, and now it becomes like a mini escape room. How do I get out of
I'm
here?
an hour and 15 minutes away from rush hour traffic.
Yeah, and like every clip is the web starting to weaken, and you're like, "Oh no, how far am I off the ground? How do I get this? How am I going to survive this fall?"
Yeah,
because this didn't think about his actions.
Those spider webs are iconic, but Spider-Man villains have a lot of iconic weapons.
They do. I go straight to Venom because the symbiote itself, I think, could be considered an iconic weapon because and everyone that has it uses it.
It didn't enter my mind at all, but of course Venom popped into you. I was like, Venom doesn't have any weapons.
100%. He is a weapon, and he everyone uses the symbiote differently. So with Venom, it's the tendrils, like that really cool Marvel Select Diamond Select that came out. That
the Disney one.
There's those, but then you get to Flash Thompson, and he uses it to hold guns or to create guns, which isn't that different from the what if the Punisher found the symbiote. But I love I love the way that everyone's got their own distinctive, and it's come out in the toys. Like there are figures where you can get Venom with the tendrils and the tentacles. The most recent, the role play thing where it looks like the top half of the symbiote, and it's that weird off purple looking thing, but it's got a really good motion, like in motion sculpt to it, and it looks a lot like his attack in Marvel vs. Capcom. So I've been tempted to get like one or two of those just to have it on the shelf because I need all the Venom stuff.
Right.
So what were you
Yeah,
thinking?
of course you do. I was thinking of like the goblins, pumpkins.
Oh, 100% pumpkin bombs. I wished, no, see,
I like the ones that scream. And was it the
yeah,
Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon that they were like,
because that's terrifying. That's a great psychological warfare, and I wish that when the Sam Raimi Spider-Man came out, I wish that we still weren't afraid to make heroes look like heroes or to make comic movies look like the comic, like the way that the Green Goblin looks in
he
that.
looked like a Power Ranger bad guy.
Yeah, it looks kind of ridiculous. Like it looked better in motion than in the still images, but still.
Right. When I first saw the stills, I was like, oh God, this is gonna be
But
terrible.
but the
But it
pumpkin
wasn't.
bombs were just orange bombs, and I'm like, I want them to look like pumpkins. That's the whole point, and it's unfortunate. But now I think if they did it, we got No Way Home, and it was that Green Goblin from that movie, so he was using the same weapons. But I think if we did it now, if there's just a full revamp of Spider-Man now, those would be pumpkins.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah,
I mean, he has his glider too, but that's
yeah.
not so much a weapon as his transportation. But the pumpkin bombs were definitely
Mhm.
iconic, and Doc Ock's arms.
Yes. Do you have the most recent? I guess the most recent release. There was a 2-pack that came out with him and Silk.
Yeah, I loved it, but I didn't buy it.
Mhm. Trying to get hold of it now is kind of ridiculous. I hope that they do the version of Doctor Octopus from it's from one of the silliest times in the '90s when in that story where Spider-Man gets his robotic arm. But the version of Doctor
Oh
Octopus,
God, I forgot about that.
yeah, oh, what a ridiculous story, and yet so much fun. But that design for Doctor Octopus when he's in like just the stark white suit and he's got the adamantium arms, I loved that. We don't have that look for him yet, and I want to see that as a figure because that was super cool, and I love the overall design for that. Even though it was very simplistic, just him in a suit, but give me that as a figure.
Yeah, that would be cool. I think we've pretty well covered our weapons for the 2 weeks.
I think that we've run down pretty much all of them. I think that's probably all of them. You've still got a couple more like Wolverine's claws. Oh wait, did we talk about that last week?
We
Wolverine's
did,
claws are the
because we talked about him and then Freddy Krueger.
yes, yes, that's that's right. His claws are iconic. And then they variations of it very much iconic, like the Kens being on like two on the side and one on the bottom. X2 just having the two. But yeah, I believe that we've gotten all the weapons out of our system.
Good.
Become
All right, so now fisticuffs.
hand to hand. Oh, one last weapon, Fisto.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good old Fisto's weapons.
Well, you can't talk about Fisto and not Jitsu.
That's true. I always loved that. I was lucky enough to actually get Fisto and Jitsu and the giant the mythical bag of toys that I received when I was little.
Yeah. I had them when I was kids too.
But I loved that. I love that Jitsu's hand was cupped perfectly. So if you ran at him with Fisto, I'm sorry, yeah, Jitsu's hand was cupped perfectly, so that if Fisto went at him, it would catch it. And I was like, that's actually really cool. I don't know if that was intended because he's just supposed to be doing a karate chop, but
right.
I love that.
It was also perfect. You could spin it, and he'd be like, "Give me 5. Give me some skin."
My sister and I used to. I don't remember how the story came about, but Jitsu was broke, and he was working for. I don't remember.
Oh, that's when the toy was broken. Like no, in your plane, he was.
No,
broke.
no, he had no funds, and he needed money. and he was helping out like I don't know if it was a homeless shelter or like a Salvation Army or something. And he was going around to people and he'd be like, money for the poor, because that was in so many movies and whatever. And he'd be like, money for the poor, and everyone would just ignore him. And then he'd finally get mad, and because he had like the chopping action, but we would turn it up. He'd be like, money for the poor, give it up. People would give him money.
Used to make him pat people on the head.
Good job, everyone. You know,
Nice.
he needed
Attaboy.
he needed money to help the less fortunate, because Jitsu's a good guy.
Right.
So, so I guess that'll do us for another episode of Two Guys Talking Toys. If you had different uses for Jitsu that involved him pleading for money or high-fiving dudes, let us know. Get a hold of us on the X Spot or Blue Sky. Our handle is Two Guys Talking Toys. That is number 2, no G after the talking. Same thing for our Gmail. Our Instagram is 2G Talking Toys. Take care, everybody.